Let's shift gears here on the Sports Cubicle with the marvelous one, Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, Paul Chivari, and myself, Mike Mercado. I want to head to the west side onto the hardwood to talk a little Chicago Bulls over the last few weeks. Again, a team marvelous that just seems to win to, lose to, can't get Zach on the court, and then when he is, looks like a super stud, and then 5 minutes later, looks like he has no knees on him. It has been a interesting watch, to say the least, for this Chicago Bulls team. Marvelous, your thoughts as this Bulls team on, as of this recording, will be taking on the Denver Nuggets at the United Center. But, I mean, it's a week full of Nuggets and Pelicans and Magic for chances to get right before you meet the Celtics, Bucks, and a surprising Jazz team later on.
Absolutely correct. You're right about the win one, lose one. They're 6-7 at the moment, and they had the last weekend the home and home with Toronto, which they split. Then the Pelicans came in and beat them on Wednesday, and they really should be well rested. They've had Thursday and Friday off, so obviously those are games they actually be able to play since he's had some time off. So they might be able to have their full complement tonight and get it done. But they're just inconsistent is what the problem's been so far. Still relying too much on DeRozan, who's been very potent in most games. You're going to have some trouble with their center, Jokic, obviously, for the Nuggets, and they have 6 players that are averaging in double figures, so they're very much a balanced team. So DeRozan's averaging 24.5 points per game and 50.7 from the floor, and Zach's averaging 22 a game. So that's the 1-2 punch. It'd be nice to get a third scorer to take some of the heat off of these guys, but they're obviously officially they don't have anybody in the injury list other than Ball, so that's a good thing. And I think that they should be able to take this by it should be able to like a 2-score victory, something like that. I think they're going to be able to win this game, and they're just they should be well rested, and they should have everybody together, full complement of players. So I like their chances against Denver.
So I think this is a team that could still win the games they're supposed to. We've seen them beat the teams that quote unquote they're not supposed to. But this is what worries me. Obviously, you're relying on DeMar a lot, and he's still DeMarvelous. We have our Marvelous, they have their DeMarvelous. Zach coming off screens, Zach going to the lane, Zach trying to put the ball down a defender's face is not happening. It does not look good. That knee does not look good. And he is settling for half-court three-pointers from the logo three-pointers. He's making them. He's bailing them out. And there are times where he's like NBA Jam and just on fire. But it is worrisome that this phantom injury that nobody is worried about, but he doesn't play certain back-to-backs, plays against certain marquee teams, but doesn't, and then plays against the bum teams, as they're called. There is some, I think for me, the guy that you spend a lot of money, that earned it, but you spend a lot of money on, are they being conservative and hoping that let's just stay out of the play-in and get everybody healthy by then? Or is this just the reality of there's a guy who's always had bad knees, who gives it his all, and because he gives it his all, he's going to be sore and have some interesting feeling in his legs, and it's going to be pain management and tolerance. Where do you think it falls in that line? Is it being conservative or is it worrisome?
Well, I think conservative is what they're doing because they don't want to result in a long-term injury to Levine. But what does he need then? Does he ultimately need surgery? And maybe that's something they should do sooner rather than later if that's the ultimate need, rather than making it worse by him playing. I'm not sure exactly the nature of the injury. It hasn't been that defined to me personally. So he's being able to play through it. They think he can play a game here and there and maybe limit the minutes. And I'd rather see a long-term Zach and a healthy Zach. So I'm conflicted on this, the way it's going. But they need another scorer. That's the thing. They can't just keep on relying on DeRozan and Levine when he plays as scorers. They just need some pump from somewhere else, and I thought they might get it, but so far that has not happened to any great degree.
Are the Bulls good, Marvelous?
Well, 6-7 is about average, isn't
Mhm.
it? So if you look at the math, they're kind of an average team. But on the other hand, uh, I think they actually started out better last year. I think their seventh loss came after not 13 games, but 23 or 33. I think they really got off to a tremendous start last year. And in that game against the Pelicans, which they lost at home on Wednesday, they weren't all that impressive. I mean, Rosen got us 33 and Levine 23, Vukovic 18. But they did get 14 from Dragic. So I mean, these guys do contribute some. Williams and Desunu had 7. It's just that they got to be a little bit more balanced, a little bit less predictable. And I mean, even still, the 3-point production isn't what I like. So they have to improve on that too. I mean, they were 7 of 27 in the last game, and they're still not terrific in 3-pointers. So these are things that they need to improve on in order to be effective. So at the moment, I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a better than average team, maybe bordering on the good.
I'm so glad also that you brought in Goran Dragic. And the reason I asked if they're good, the first thing you want to be and the thing you want to avoid is being in basketball hell. His organization's been there before, and it is the worst thing in sports because it's so hard to get out of. But guys like Dragic and guys like Drummond and guys like Caruso are supposed to be luxuries. And right now, they're depending on them way too much. They're depending on Dalen Terry. They're depending on Io. They're depending on these dudes to help carry their team. And that can't be the case. These should be complementary players. These should be guys that help make your team look better. Javonte Green should not be the best player on the court any given time just off of his hustle. So those are the things. If you're looking how things can get better for the Bulls, it's that. Tighten those things up and you can avoid the play-in. And who knows? It's crazy. You're not winning the finals, but you might win a series, and that's the goal step by step. But marvelous. Any final thoughts? We have a game tonight. If you're listening to WCPT, the Bulls will be playing as you were listening to this episode. But a fun week of basketball coming up. But any final thoughts on the week that was in the West Side at the United Center for your and ours and the Chicago Bulls?
Like I say, I mean, it was disappointing to lose the Pelicans, but they did split with the Raptors. And it's going to be an interesting week because they play the Pelicans again on the road Wednesday. And after the Magic at home Friday, they then have a back to back, so to speak, next Monday and next Wednesday, Celtics here and Bucks on the road. So that should be an interesting indicator because those are teams they need to beat eventually, and they haven't been very consistent in beating.
Uh, so we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that. But we want to know your thoughts. The week that was for the Chicago Bulls, how are you feeling? A team that's 6-7, a game under 500, but this is a team that will win 2, lose 2. Is it frustrating? Is it what you expected? How can they get out of this mundane routine? We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. It's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. It's Devin Tingle. It's Paul Chivari. I'm Mike Mercado.